Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for patiently waiting after lunch and still patiently keeping attention here. So I want to start with something that you might have heard of. There's a term in Japan called hikikomori. For those of you who are not aware, this term is used for people who have chosen to withdraw from society and seek extreme isolation. The Japanese government estimates that around 1.5 million people are hikikomoris as of today, and the experts suggest that the number can be much higher. The rest of the world is not far behind. Various surveys put together suggest around 1.25 billion people who have reported feeling lonely or very lonely in the year 2023. And then we talk about trends like AI-enabled partners and rent-a-family service during holidays, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. But why are we talking about loneliness again? Isn't it something we want to stay away from, not really talk about it? But maybe that's a challenge, because we are in some shape or form part of the problem. And this is where the entire gamut of, being, even if we are part of a family gathering, in mid of a happening office party, we might have felt loneliness. So today, all I seek is that we take some cognizance of the challenge, gather some moments of reflection, and some courage to take some action towards it. My research around neuroscience led me to deep dive more around this area. And the data points, the insights have been spiraling since then. There is so much. Take this for example. Online dating as a space that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. People who swipe right 50 to 100 in a day are left feeling more distressed and disappointed by the end of it. Now, whom are we talking about this? Millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha that my child is part of that I'm most worried for. We are the most overstimulated, yet deeply disconnected generations. The last of analog generation that we are, millennials, where the technology wasn't hovering over our head since we were born. The joke around is that the way we had to teach technology skills to baby boomers, we might have to teach social skills to Gen Z and Gen Alpha. But I don't find that joke funny anymore. There is, of course, low faith in institution governance, ambiguity for the age itself, and then, of course, changing family dynamics. Look at more than 58% of families in India are now nuclear in the urban areas. But let's find more places to put blame. Social media, technology, smartphones, right? But let's take a step back and get comfortable with the uncomfortable. How did that happen? Maybe we got busier. We actually clap when we see toddlers being able to swipe on iPhones. And we are so pleased that the children can eat their greens without creating a fuss while watching television. But maybe it's us who killed the creative conversations. We chose comfort over challenge. We chose convenience over this creativity. And then we hear so much of these terms like social anxiety in children and loosely used terms like depression in teenagers. So, but I have my faith and some part of sympathy for these teenagers and young adults. I can't imagine the kind of stress and validation that they are seeking constantly with the social media around. You see these perfect pictures, the natural no makeup look, the unrealistic body sizes, the perfect vacations in Hawaii, which might be Goa or Mahabaleshwar in the background, but yeah. But then the struggle of being heard, not being heard enough, to try to seek validation and hearing things like, how can a 20-year-old girl succeed in building a startup? Isn't experience everything? We hear that very often. And I know I'm walking on eggshells when I try and talk to them and say, hey, let's cut some slack to the parents as well. It's their first time at this job of parenting as well. And all we see outside is this stubborn, unruly rebels as teenagers and young adults. Low self-esteem that becomes the core in this entire being. And that's where the next easiest step is loneliness. Think of it like a group of 100 bikers as a gang, which loneliness represents. You want to be drawn towards it. There's a dark pleasure attached to being lonely once you are part of it. I was given the homie tattoo by this gang for quite a few years too. Look at this, visualize this cycle of a girl in a small town in a middle-class family. You are educated to have strong values, opinions by your parents. So as you grow up in younger days, you are opinionated, lesser friends. She's not as high on fashion, another group, lesser friends. Moving to a bigger city for higher education, her accent is not suited to metro, all the more lesser friends. The shame and guilt of not being on the top of trends of motherhood, all the more lesser people. The hopelessness badge that you carry around because not getting or marking perfection as an individual, and the sanity crown that you keep on wanting to maintain while taking care of your family as well as your thriving business, all of that together. So today, it's more about, there's a lot of data, of course, when you talk about the connect of sleep disorder, anxiety, Alzheimer's, the alarming rate of suicides in the age group of 10 to 14 in US. And all where loneliness is a catalyst. But without delving deeper on the darker side, I want you to come with me a bit on the science part of it that helps us get some validation, understand the triggers, and maybe help us rewire our thoughts and our patterns of thinking. So think about this. When you are extremely hungry, you're very thirsty, your brain sends signals that something is missing for survival. That's the kind of physiological reaction your body gets when you are alone, lonely rather. There's another interesting study in Netherlands that happened, and that's my favorite. Your body temperature actually drops when you feel ignored in a party. And that's where you talk about metaphors of shiver down the spine while walking in a lonely, dark lane. And that's where the beautiful metaphors of warmth of a mother's lap, warmth of friends' laughter, warmth of a cup of coffee while talking to a loved one. You see, there's so much of connect with the physiological and the mental reactions. In fact, a study said that where doctors found out that the stress hormone cortisol releases highly when we are lonely or not really our best self, while talking to a friend for 10 minutes, even if it's a bit of complaining and all, the body feels as if it's come out of a spa. So with that kind of transitions in our body, this is what I find the most interesting without worrying just about what's going wrong. But this is our once in a humanity opportunity to change this narrative, to break the cycle, to find ways of breaking this chain so that nobody from the next generation has to stand here and talk about loneliness. So where I want to start is, and again, I love research maybe, and that's the reason I keep on quoting about research, but I think that really validates what we think. Having a sense of purpose in life reduces chances of feeling lonely, unhappy, distressed. So when I talk about purpose, I don't intend you to pick up climate change or change the world tomorrow, change everything around you. But pick a small thing that really matters to you as an individual. A small cause, a volunteering, a project maybe. Have people around who are there to push you. I have my son, just 2 days ago, And believe me, that's not part of the script. Just 2 days ago while I was rehearsing, and I was like, I'm not really ready. Do I feel ready? He gave me my old trophies in the hand and said, Mama, why don't you close your eyes and just feel how you feel while holding this? You feel confident? That's how you should feel on the stage. And trust me, that's the kind of boost we need in life. So here I want to introduce to this concept of 3I. And when I say I, the letter I has two meanings here. One, what means more than the I, so more than me as an individual. And the I where I know what more I want to build here, what more I want to do here. So first is try and identify. Identify if I want to stay by myself because I enjoy, I have something productive to contribute, I'm at my best self, and I'm creating that positive impact. Not because I want to run away from some people, situations, circumstances. Second is find that interest. When I say interest, read about people like Emma Gonzalez, who was part of a mass shooting in Parkland, but chose to channelize that anger, that frustration into something meaningful. She became an anti-gun policy ambassador. Or people like Shantanu Naidu, I'm sure you would have heard of him. The guy who at the age of 22 created Goodfellows India, connected lonely senior citizens with teenagers. The true power of 1+1, I find that beautiful. And thirdly, intent. Intentionalize that. Start moving towards doing that. If you want to pick a project, you want to volunteer, in each of that, find an accountability partner with you who's there to nudge, to push, to encourage. We all want to be valued, respected, acknowledged, but the first sense of belongingness has to start home. And I love that cliche phrase of, if you are alone and you don't enjoy that, you are in bad company. So my own company should be pleasant to me first. And with that, try and build that power to others. Try and bring that for others, because just one person impacted from you has a huge impact on the entire world. The universe is just a bit better. And that's how it keeps on moving ahead. And that's where I want to give you one more idea from my favorite author, Brené Brown. She talks about permission slips. We all have seen permission slips in school, right? So here, she says, start writing permission slips to yourself. Sticky notes, pick few, and just write maybe in the morning, I give myself permission to probe more what's going wrong with me. I give myself permission to laugh loudly if it doesn't really suit around. I give myself permission to be me. And of course, the Japanese terms are so much in trend around where you want to take more of them, but they are beautiful. And that's where I stumbled upon this concept of oibuitari. And oibuitari means trust your journey. It's okay if my pace is slower. My sense of self-worth cannot be determined by how others' journey looks like. Allowing me to absorb my achievements my way in my pace and be able to love my journey at the same time. That's all for me. Thank you so much.